All right, welcome to the marketing overview. Now, when it comes to your AI agency and actually selling your AI automations to B2B clients, this is probably by far the most important thing you need to know. So please pay attention here because this is what's going to differentiate you and actually make you money. If you don't know how to sell, if you don't know how to market, you're going to make no money. There is a reason there are so many AI agencies and people selling AI agents out there, but I am able to generate money from B2B clients and they are not. A lot of these guys are way smarter than me technically, they have a lot more knowledge, but I'm still able to make money and they're not. And that's simply because of marketing. And just to give you guys some quick context, before jumping in, for those of you who don't know, I am actually a first and foremost marketing guy. I've been in the digital marketing space for over a decade now. That's where I actually started my career when I was working. And I started in digital marketing, and that's kind of what my bread and butter is. So I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I have over a decade of experience in all sorts of acquisition channels, also in CRO, SEO, running ads, sales, all that kind of stuff. So just wanted to provide that context, and let's dive right into this and what we're going to cover here for the marketing strategy session here. So let me go over to this screen. Perfect. So just real quick, what we're going to cover here is essentially 5 different acquisition channels when it comes to marketing. There's cold calling, cold email, which kind of falls into like that cold outreach channel, personal branding, door to door, and then we're going to dive into, we're going to talk a little bit about ads as well. So if you look here on the objective section on this slide, I put this together for you guys. I thought it would just be easier to show visually and talk through it. And it's better for retention as well when things are written down like this. So you can just read through some of those objectives for each one and what we're going to talk about. But let's dive a little bit deeper here. So first and foremost, I mentioned this a little bit, but why marketing, right? So like I mentioned, this is the number one most important thing. Without marketing, no one knows you exist. The best automations in the world mean nothing if no one hears about them. Marketing is what drives revenue, not your AI agents, not how much knowledge you have technically. It's the marketing, and the sale only happens because marketing brings attention, builds trust, and then it fills your pipeline with clients. It is the engine of your agency. It's what brings awareness, leads, growth, and literally everything depends on it. Now, there are people out there like Elon Musk who say marketing is bullshit. You don't need marketing. Your product should sell itself. Now, although there is some merit and truth to that, unfortunately, I want to give you guys a news flash. You are not Elon Musk. You are also not Steve Jobs. You don't have a insane product like Tesla or SpaceX or Apple that only you can build and no one else can. Therefore, for 99% of businesses, specifically in the SaaS space and the B2B services space, marketing is literally everything because there are so many other people selling the same thing as you. No one else is creating crazy automated electric vehicles like Elon Musk. So that is why it is different. Great marketing, like I said, it's also making selling effortless. So when it comes to sales pipeline, it builds your authority. And at the end of the day, no marketing is no money, right? Perfect. So let me just break down very quickly like what each of these channels are, and then obviously we'll dive deeper as well. So when it comes to cold outreach, that's emails, phone, all of that. It's not great at the end for scaling, but this is an excellent starting point to learn about your offer, to learn about your audience, to learn about what you're working with. And it's really just a numbers game. Now, when it comes to door to door, it's similar, but it takes it up a notch. It's basically, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck in terms of efficiency. And it's a much higher close rate than cold calling, but it obviously is going to be higher effort because you're going in person. It depends on you actually walking in to physical locations. Personal branding is by far the best long-term inbound channel. It's the highest award, but also the highest effort. And then ads is the best for scaling. And if you get this right, it's also the most automated and the most passive. People talk about passive income all the time. It really relies on ads. If you can figure out how to turn $1 into two, it's amazing for scaling. Perfect. So just want to give you a little bit of a diagram here and an outline of what sort of customer persona you can expect with different approaches. So obviously we have two different approaches here, right? We have outbound and inbound. So for those of you new to the marketing world, I just want to sort of outline what this means, right? Because you can have an outbound acquisition approach and you can have an inbound acquisition approach. So what do they mean? The best way to sort of describe this, and I always use this analogy, is think that you're in college, right? And you're throwing an amazing frat party, like crazy party at your apartment. You're investing a bunch of resources into this party for the expected ROI of like social validation or proof or popularity, whatever your KPI is, right? But at the end of the day, your goal is you're throwing a crazy house party, and the key metric, the key goal is to attract as many people to come to that house party and then also stay and like becoming your friend, all as like conversion, whatever. So now there's two ways to do this. You can put posters around the whole campus, and you can also create a Facebook event, and you can message a bunch of people and tell them, come to my amazing party, right? That would be outbound. So you're going out to get people to come to your party. Inbound is someone through word of mouth or through your branding or through your awareness, maybe through some of your outbound efforts, finds out that this guy's hosting this crazy party. Now they come to you and you're like, hey man, like I heard you're throwing this party, like would you mind if I come through with some of my boys or my girl or whatever? That's inbound, because the client, or in this case the person, is coming to you. Now from those two approaches, just using logical, rational thinking, which one do you think is going to have a higher conversion rate, or in this case, higher turnout rate for that person to actually likely show up to the party? It's obviously going to be inbound, right? Because the person is already warm. They already know about your party. They're already invested. They're asking you if they can show up. So that's inbound, higher intent. They come to you and they're warm. They need way less convincing. They're already kind of convinced because they've seen what you do. And your cost of acquisition is basically zero because you didn't have to go out and get that lead. They came to you. Whereas outbound, I'm not shitting on outbound. It's still great. But the thing with outbound is it's great to start, but then you want to kind of go more into inbound. But outbound is great to start. I mean, obviously the clients are going to be more skeptical. They're going to be lower intent. You're going out and fetching them through ads or cold calling or email. They're going to need a little more convincing and prospecting that you're the right person to work with and why they even need your service. They're more of a cold lead, so you have to convince them. But at the end of the day, more volume is going to get you more leads. The more posters you put up around campus, the more money you spend into advertising, the more like people are going to show up, right? That's just how it is. So lower quality lead, but it's a volumes game, whereas inbound, higher quality lead, way easier to close. But it takes a lot of brand building and presence and awareness to actually have inbound be successful. So there we go. Perfect. Now let's go into each of these channels very quickly. I'm not going to go into crazy detail and like how to actually sell your AI automations and your your AI voice receptionists through each of these. We'll do that a little bit later, but you guys should still listen to this and pay attention because it's going to give you sort of like the framework of how each of these acquisition channels work when it comes to marketing and selling. So when it comes to cold outreach, this is email and cold calling. This is great for initial momentum and effective for quick wins, right? Great way to land your first few clients, build some momentum, get out there. Like it's just brute force. You just got to do it. The greatest thing when it comes to AI right now, specifically like receptionist automation agents, it's low competition. Like you might think it's not, you might think you're super saturated. Trust me, go out and call a few clients or talk to a few clients. They don't know anything about AI. So because of the low competition and very few people doing it, business owners are actually more receptive to your call. Now, if you were going to go to those same business owners and call or email about selling them Facebook ads, they're going to be way less likely because we're no longer living in 2015. In 2015 or 14, you go out and cold call about Facebook ads. People are interested. It's new. They don't know how to do it. They're going to take your word for it and actually listen. So right now, the time we live in is a huge leverage. And you should definitely leverage the curiosity about AI because like I said, most local businesses are intrigued. They know it's out there, but they're uninformed, which gives you a massive advantage. And that's a massive value proposition towards cold outreach. I will say it's not super sustainable for long term because as more agencies enter the market, it's obviously going to be harder and it's just not going to be super sustainable, but you only need it to get your first few clients and then get referrals through them as well. It's obviously going to be more time and energy intensive, right? You can't scale super easily. You got to make a bunch of calls. And it all depends, every sale depends on your direct effort. So more energy up front, but you're going to need to do this when you start. Door to door is similar, but it's taking it a step up, and it's going to yield higher conversion rates. So again, super effective for quick sales. When you're first starting out, door to door is the move. Nothing will beat face-to-face connection. Even post-COVID, people value face-to-face personal connections, and it's great for closing deals fast. It also builds instant trust, right? If you see a real person instead of a random cold call or email, it builds credibility, and also kind of breaks down that skepticism that I sort of talked about when it comes to like selling, right? More personal. You're also actually giving or building a demo for each person, ideally, that you go for door to door. And so because of that, they have more trust that you actually have something to show them, which is great, right, for conversion. Also awesome, like for your local markets, small businesses, they value community and personal relationships. So that is great. Obviously, this is going to take even more time and energy than cold calling, because you can't automate it. It's also hard to sort of hire for this, because not anyone is going to know as much about your offer as you initially, especially when you start. So, every visit requires effort, confidence. You got to sort of get in the zone, and you obviously need a demo, right? It's not easily scalable either, and it's tough to grow sort of beyond your local area. Like, how often are you going to be doing it? But trust me, guys, this is, when you first start, amazing for conversions, amazing to get those first 4 or 5 clients. And you can also build your brand presence, right? So let's say you go door-to-door approach and you show them a demo, they're very interested. Maybe they don't want to buy from you, but they'll remember you and your face and your agency. You leave them your business card as well. And guess what? They can refer you. I actually had this happen to me. I went in door-to-door to this was like a dog grooming service. And, I showed them a demo, everything. They were super intrigued. They said, we just don't get a lot of phone calls. We're not super interested right now. But funny enough, that client actually ended up within a month referring me to a different business, which was a cleaning company. And they came to me as a referral, and I got to close them. So that sort of mitigated my risk, and the effort did not go to waste. So this is absolutely crucial. And again, volume game, I would definitely recommend this when you start. And to be honest, guys, like just with these 2 acquisition channels, cold outreach and door-to-door, you can I'm not going to say easily, because that's misleading. It's going to take a lot of effort. But if you do these effectively and put in the effort and put in the volume and have the confidence and go in, you can get to 10K a month just by this. All right. You just need 2 or 3 clients, and then they're also going to give you referrals. You can get to over 10K a month literally just by doing these. And that's what I would recommend when you start. That's how I initially got to 10K a month. I was just doing these 2, started off, got referrals, got conversions, and that's how I hit my first 10K. And that's really what you need to do. The other thing worth mentioning is it's not just about doing it, it's also the why, right? Like it's also, the how. So like if you're doing cold outreach and cold calling and door to door, you got to have some confidence, like talk to yourself in a mirror, record your scripts, send your scripts to ChatGPT and ask it how you can improve, right? That's where the effort comes in. A lot of people I talk to, they say, hey Mo, I've been doing cold outreach and door to door and I'm just not closing. It's because you've only talked to 2 businesses and your script is shit and you don't have confidence and you just give up after 2. Learn from this, take notes, send your scripts, your recordings to ChatGPT, rapid prototype, iterate and get better. And then you build confidence with reps, right? If you're going in, you're like, hey, do you guys have a AI receptionist? Have you heard about that? They're gonna be like, what the hell? But if you're going like, hey, how's it going? I love your shop. I saw your website. You know what I mean? Like, my wife actually recommended this too or something. You could be like, hey, I actually tried calling you guys earlier, but couldn't get through. How are you actually getting leads right now? Oh, okay. So you do miss a lot of calls or you miss a lot of Instagram DMs and stuff like that. Okay, cool. I just want to let you know that I actually work specifically with salons or whatever niche you're targeting. And I solved this problem. I actually already made you a demo. Do you want to check it out? Show them the demo. Boom, they're more likely to actually engage with you. So that covers cold outreach and door-to-door. Let's go to the next one. Personal branding. So with this one, this is by far, I mean, the highest reward you will ever get. It's also the most effort, but if you do this properly, I'm gonna move my face over here. This will yield you insane results. So it's slow to start but powerful long term. Takes time to build, right? You're building brand equity. Nike didn't bring build overnight, right? But now Nike is a shoe selling machine. The same freaking shoe, by the way, I'm from Pakistan. They all this shit is made there. I can guarantee you I can find the same quality Nike shoe at my local bazaar back home in Pakistan for $2. It was also built by the same factory because all of the shit is made there. They just didn't label it and brand it. They took it out and they're selling that shoe for freaking $10. The same exact shoe with the Nike logo, like branded on Nike, is selling for $150. Why? Because they've built their brand. Brand is associated with trust, and trust is associated with premium payments, and higher trust, warmer leads is going to make you a selling machine over the long run. So it's slow to start, takes a lot of effort, but it's going to be powerful in the long run. It's going to create you an inbound lead machine, like I mentioned. People come to you, no chasing, no cold calls, inbound acquisition. Leads are warmer and easier to close, like I mentioned, that inbound channel. Way lower client acquisition costs, right? So like your brand does the heavy lifting. So instead of paid outreach and all of that and cold calling, like someone's coming to you, you're spending nothing. The only thing is you spend upfront is building your brand. When they actually come to you, you spend nothing. So the cost of acquisition for acquiring a lead is near to nothing. It also positions you as the expert, right? This is how you stand out from your average Joe Schmo who's also selling AI agents and automations. He could be selling it, but you have a brand presence. You talk to people about how to do this. You talk about your experiences. You document. Then this guy knows what he's doing because he's actually documenting. I checked out his page, and you know what? That builds authority. Personal branding is no longer a choice in like 2025. Like it's kind of like having a website. Everyone needs a website. You now do need a personal brand. People need to trust you, and they need a face behind the product or service that you're selling, right? And like I said with the Nike example, you can charge premium prices. You separate from the crowd. And this is something you start building early, right? Like as you're doing your door-to-door and your outreach and your outbound, you should also start building your brand because it's going to be the most sustainable. The other snippet I want to give you guys here for this, as I'm going to actually open my some of my accounts, is AI is so hot right now. I mean, it's so hot. Like if you started a personal brand about like running Facebook ads, it's going to be so hard for it for the algorithms to like boost you and to get traction. But with AI, I mean, this stuff is so hot. So let me just show you guys some examples. So this is like from my, let me pull this up wider. This is from my just a TikTok video I posted about like cold calling using AI, right? I don't know if you guys can see that super properly. I'm trying to build it in here. But I got 900K views, okay? It's kind of hard to see. I realize the screen is tilted here. But let me just read this out to you. I got 900K views from this. 36,000 people saved it. 3,000 people sent it. Over 1,500 comments. I got 2,700 followers just from this one freaking post. And I actually ended up getting 2 clients who reached out to me and turned into leads from this post and turned into clients from this post as well. So that's the power of personal branding. Same thing on my Instagram. I had a post here and I got over 100 followers from it, over 40K views, so many comments, so many people messaging me, reaching out and saying they're interested because they saw my post. So personal branding is the move right now, especially in the AI space. And a lot of people even here watching this video, here learning like you guys, came from my personal brand. So do not sleep on this. Perfect. Sorry, I'm going a little long here, guys. There's a lot of people who don't have marketing context, and I just want to be able to do that, and give that to you guys because it's important to actually know how this stuff works, right? The last one here is running ads. So running ads, it sort of is like this fairy tale thing, like run ads and that's how you do it. It's not that easy. Running ads is not super simple, but it's also the best way to scale, right? Like let's say you're doing all the other things I mentioned. When you start running ads properly, this is the most passive income way of making money, right? If you find an offer that works and an ad creative and ad set and targeting that works, you just pour fuel on that fire and it scales for you. If you learn how to turn $1 into $2 through ads, and your system converts profitably, you can grow infinitely, right? It's the most expensive upfront because you're actually paying. You're gonna pay a lot of money to actually test and learn and A/B test and find out what works for your niche and your market and your service. And you need a proven offer because ads will amplify the results, but they'll also amplify what's broken. But once you find that, it's amazing for growing and scaling. You can also build your lead list. So this is where LTV, long-term value of a customer, comes in. You capture emails through ads, you can retarget, you can have nurture potential clients over time. So remarketing is huge, and your lead list is huge for your brand equity and just in general for client acquisition in the long run and LTV. You can see all the data. It gives you ads, give you instant feedback on your messaging and targeting so you can figure out what's working and what's not and make data-driven changes to your ads to actually grow. And like I mentioned, most hands-off, they can run 24/7. You will literally generate leads in your sleep, and the lead generation doesn't stop with ads if you figure out how to do it properly. Perfect. Just gonna close out here, guys. Now you know all of the acquisition channels when it comes to selling AI, for your AI agency. So what's the plan of action? What should you do? And what acquisition channel is the best? Ideally, you should actually be using all the marketing channels, right? And that's what I do. I use every single marketing channel. When you first start though, and nobody knows you, the best thing to do is start with cold outreach, start with door-to-door. It's the fastest way to get your first few clients, build confidence, learn about your offer, learn about your niche, learn about the target market, refine your offer. And this actually helps you build serious momentum. Get to your first 10K with that. Once you have traction, start testing ads. See what's working from cold outreach. See what kind of clients you're getting. Use those creatives, use those testimonials in your ads for authority building and social proofing. And you can also use profits from clients when you get your first 10K or whatever, and pour that into your ad spend to continuously keep growing, right? And then you can sort of like level off a little bit from outreach once ads are working. And then your personal brand is something you're doing from day one simultaneously. Post your wins, share results, build authority, show the process, talk about like different things you've learned for different niches and different clients and how you're building the AI and like how businesses can benefit from you. This compounds over time. It's sort of like investing in your S&P 500 or whatever, like compound interest over time, right? And your brand makes everything easier in the long run. The biggest thing also about brand building, which I didn't mention in the previous section, is it's sort of the best recession or inflation proof thing, whatever you want to call it, right? Because in the long run, there's going to be way more AI agencies out there. It's going to get saturated. But like the way that you're sort of fool-proofing yourself from that is through your brand, because your brand is what's going to sustain you in the long run. How long can you keep doing outreach for? Not forever, right? So the eventual goal is go from outbound to inbound. You use your hustle initially to get your first few clients through door-to-door and cold outreach. Pour your profits into ads to make it more passive, and then build your brand simultaneously. And I also built this little plan of action diagram here on the right. Hopefully this helps paint the picture. Perfect. And then when you're doing all of this, I just put some performance metrics here to look out for. Not going to go too crazy here, but like you have performance metrics. Everything should be data driven for your decisions. It's not just, oh, I think this works, let me do it. No, what is the data? Track everything. Cold outreach. What is your open and reply rate for emails? For your calls, how many meetings are you booking? How many people are answering? What's your answer rate? What's your meetings booked? What's your lead generation? What's your conversion rate? Door-to-door, conversions per day, meetings closed, time versus deal ratio, like how much time are you spending versus deals you're generating. And then you use all of this data and see which one is giving you the highest ROI. And then you double down, triple down, quadruple down on that highest ROI investment, be it door-to-door, be it cold outreach initially. And then when you're running ads, what's your cost per lead? What's your ROAS, your return on ad spend, right? Conversion rates. Personal branding, reach and engagement. How many inbound leads am I getting? What's my audience growth? What hooks are working? What kind of content is working, right? So those are sort of like the main things to look out for. And I think that is everything. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I wanted to give this brief overview. A lot of people are new to the world of marketing, digital marketing. So it's very important to understand how acquisition channels work, how lead generation works. And then once you understand that, you can dive into each specific one deeper. So thank you all.